Now, one of the things I like to do is support charities. And one of the charities that I support is the Brooke Action for Working Horses and Donkeys. And here is one of the little donkeys that I support. Now, donkeys and horses are very noble, but also very humble animals, and they're also very hard-working. Now, this morning I want to tell you a story about these humble animals. Now, this story comes from Turkey, from the city of Istanbul. And this city was once called Constantinople, and before that was called Byzantine. Now, there is in that city a large mosque where Muslim people worship. It has a huge central dome measuring 100 foot or 30 metres across and carried on 4 huge arches. Originally, though, this was a church which was built when the city was called Constantinople and was the capital of a great Eastern Empire. Now, originally, the church was called the Cathedral of St. Sophia, and here in this book of world architecture there is a picture. I'm not sure whether you can see it, but there it is. It's a beautiful building. Now, this building was built in AD 538, and there is a legend about it. It was built by the Emperor Justinian, who wanted to build the most wonderful, biggest and most splendid cathedral in the whole of his empire. But he also decided that he alone should have the honour of building such a great church. He therefore commanded that nothing, however small, should be contributed by anyone but himself. So the beautiful church of St. Sophia was built. But when it was nearly ready, the emperor gave orders that an inscription to be set above the main entrance, which read, "This church was given to God by Justinian, emperor." Soon it was opening day, and the emperor with his court and crowds of people came in great state. But when they looked up to read the inscription, they found it said not, "This church was given to God by Justinian, emperor," but "This church was given to God by Euphrasia, widow." Of course, the emperor was absolutely furious, and he summoned the architect to explain. But the architect was adamant that only the day before he had carved exactly what the emperor had requested, and many others confirmed that this was true. They all realised that somehow, by some miracle, the inscription had been altered during the night. But who was this widow Euphrasia? The emperor demanded to know, and eventually someone remembered that there was an old lady of that name who lived in a tiny house at the foot of the hill. Straight away the emperor went to her and asked if she had broken his commandment. But he could see that she was desperately poor and had no money, let alone enough money to pay for a cathedral and for its inscription to be changed. But the old lady then confessed that in gratitude to God, she had sometimes fed some pieces of straw to the tired horses and donkeys who pulled the heavy marble slabs up the hill to build the cathedral. when she said this. The emperor realized that God had accepted the service of this poor woman and counted it of more value than all his vast gift of money. Because the widow's gift represented gratitude, love and self-sacrifice, while his gift had really been made for his own self-glory. Now this story reminds us of the words of Jesus when he saw the rich people giving lots of money in the temple, while a poor widow just had 2 small coins. Jesus told his disciples that this poor woman had given more than any of them, for those others who had given had more than enough, but she had less than enough. But she had given all she had to give. So this story reminds us that to God, the rich and powerful are not more important, and that in giving is not how much you give, but the spirit in which you give it in. And even if you have no money, there is always something that you can do for others to help them. And this is extremely true. In many houses across the United Kingdom, there have been beautifully drawn rainbows on windows. Some attached to hedges, on shops and painted on walls. And it's a small, simple show of our appreciation to all the staff of the NHS and all the other key workers, such as postmen and refuge collectors and people who work in our shops to make sure that we have our food to eat. These are simple acts, just as the widow Euphrasia did by feeding the tired horses and donkeys who pull the heavy marble slabs to make Justinian's beautiful cathedral. These are what we call random acts of kindness, and these acts are the most important of all.